So this is the guy we're going to be defending. He was walking down the street during a foggy London evening. There was a woman in front of him. She was stabbed. He didn't see who did it, and then he ran away. And then they were like, well, must be you. Must have been you. And I forgot if I didn't give him a voice. He's too weird. I can't voice weird people. It's you. You're here. You came. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I can't believe you came back. I'm so touched. We are so sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Natsume. Oh, no, think nothing of it. Relax. If I were a cat, I would purr with pleasure at the company of such fine compatriots. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nipponese. Oh, now let's not get carried away, please. Is this the Count? I think it's the Count. I quite agree. There is nothing more reassuring than the familiarity of one's native land. On the other hand... Nope, it was you. It was Sherlock Holmes, imitating the Count. As a goof. It is through friendship transcending international borders that one truly appreciates the fact. Yeah, he's completely been having a breakdown. Such is my belief, at least. It's you! The miserable rotten spy! Sherlock Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing here? I have no intention of doing anything, per se, save observing, of course. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Well, having encountered some curious reading material in that gloomful room, and having unmasked the secret identity of that eccentric pair, I decided I should drop in on my way home to see how our divested friend is faring. Gloomful room? At least your accommodation here offers a taxable window, my dear fellow. In that sense, it is the superior option. Anyway, I must commend you on your taste in books. My day has been a delight, and cost me not a penny. Arg, you! How dare you, Sherlock Sholmes? I've had it. I'm through. I'm at the end of my rope. I should never have come to Great Britain. It was a terrible mistake. Haunted by spirits in those accursed lodgings. No doubt my luck will be cursed in tomorrow's trial as well. My whole life is bedamned! What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? He mentioned that once before, didn't he? That his lodgings were cursed, I mean. And there is much truth in Mr. Mustache's words. What? Cursed is a wholly appropriate description, I would say, for the man's lodgings, and indeed for tomorrow's trial. What's that supposed to mean? What is that supposed to mean? No, tell me about the cursed lodgings. When you said accursed lodgings before, you were referring to your room at Mr. Garrideb's house, I assume. Do you mean to say you believe the place is cursed? It's been a year now since I came to Great Britain, but I'd only been in London a week before I started to notice strange feelings in myself. Okay, he doesn't have a carbon monoxide detector. He's carbon monoxide poisoned. Open and shut case. That didn't take long then. Everywhere I looked, there were foreign faces staring at me, laughing behind my back. I was sure people were talking about me. I started to become nervous about going outside. They were always staring at me, all the time, from dawn till dusk. So I shut myself away in that room, but even that didn't help. The fear wouldn't go away. You must have been very lonely, having been away from your homeland for such a long time. I've had to move a number of times, most recently to that room on Briar Road a week ago now. Yes, why did you choose there? It seems a little inconvenient. The rent is cheap. I have so little money, it appealed to me straight away. Of course, I asked why it was so affordable. The landlord just simpered and said... hissed immediately. The room is cursed. Oops. He quickly tried to cover his mistake, but it was too late. So I told him, if you have something to say, then say it. But if not, don't mention it in the first place. Yes, well said. But it was true. It was all true. You mean, the room really is cursed then? Ever since I moved into that windowless hellhole, my sleep has been plagued with nightmares. I awake feeling as though I'm being choked to death. And in my waking hours, people are stabbed in front of me as I walk down the street. I'm branded a killer, thrown in prison. Nobody wants to know me. I'm surrounded by scary, sinister spirits. If only there was someone, just one person on my side. Can no one find it in his or her heart to believe me? Really, no one at all? To believe, yes. Shinjiru. We'll talk about believing later, when Naruto's on. Mr. Natsume, what did you mean by what you said just now, about believing? No, I mean about tomorrow's trial being cursed. Oh no, why are you looking so grave? You're making me nervous. I was just getting carried away, that's all. I didn't mean anything by it. Oh, I see. That's really agitated him. You don't mean the trial really is cursed somehow? Are you referring to the prosecutor? The Reaper of the Bailey? The Reaper? Oh no, what do you mean? Please tell me. Summarize it succinctly in 16 salient words. No defendant has ever survived a trial in which the Reaper stands for the prosecution ever. Is that 16? 16! Oh my goodness, can it really be true? That was 16 words exactly! Yesterday, Mr. Naruhodo successfully defended someone against the Reaper, but then, after the trial was over, the defendant passed away in unusual circumstances. Mr. McGilded. What? I am impressed, Miss Susato. You have an eye for detail. Actually, the Lord Chief Justice told us. Mr. Sholmes, surely it can't be that having failed to have the accused convicted, Lord Van Zieks killed the man himself. Oh no, he couldn't have, surely. You have some wonderful notions. Sorry? The man isn't a mass murderer, he's a court prosecutor, my dear fellow. Oh, yes. Why, of course he is. Of course he is? Then why are you trying to scare me? It could be said, however, that the real truth about the man is even more terrifying than your hypothesis. What on earth do you mean by that? Back to believing. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Mr. Sholmes. Me, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what can I do for you? If the count just had a normal laugh between each number, it would be more disturbing. It's about the case on the SS Burya, if you recall. The Burya. Ah, that case. The one with the snake. Well, yes-ish. At that time, I was the suspect, but you believed in me and listened to my side of the story, and you helped us to investigate. I did I? Interesting. What I want to know is why. Why did you believe me? I see, yes. You mean because you are a grimly dressed, shady Eastern fellow found with the victim in a locked room. Well, if you like, yes. Why it gotta be Eastern? I'm a little surprised that the answer requires explanation, my dear fellow. It's quite simple, really. You said I didn't do it. But I could have been lying. Surely you must have had your doubts. You must have suspected me a little. I think perhaps you have misunderstood. I neither recall believing in you nor that which you were telling me. What? You see, the only things I believe in are those I choose to believe in. Did I miss a neither? I did, didn't I? I said neither instead of neither. I'm a bad voice actor. What do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? I make up my own mind about what is to be believed and what is not. If I should like to believe in something, I do. The circumstances can hang, as far as I'm concerned. But I could have betrayed your trust. In that case, I should have made an elementary error. I should have made an elementary error of judgment, nothing more. Betrayal of trust is an overused excuse, in my opinion. Meaning? Whether or not one should trust another is, in the final analysis, down to oneself. It is a matter of whether or not one can trust oneself. Yes, he's right. He's right, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Whether or not I can believe myself. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. You were so right, Kazuma. Alright, let's talk about the Shinigami. Van Zieks is quite an exceptional man. However, in London courts of law, exceptional does not equate to winning every case without exception. That's good. So Seki-san looks like he's going to cry tears of joy. As you are no doubt aware, in a British criminal trial there is both a judge and a jury. The judge officiates based on the letter of the law, whilst the jury offers public opinion and common sense. It is an excellent system whereby the defendant's guilt is considered from several points of view. However, public opinion in particular is somewhat easily manipulated. Right. Criminals, and corrupt lawyers for that matter, can use it to their advantage. By any means at their disposal, contriving evidence, calling impostors as witnesses, and so on. By such underhand means, those who would want to are able to sway the jury. Which means that even in the light of irrefutable evidence, the prosecution can fail. But it means the wrong verdict can be passed. And sadly is from time to time, my dear madame. It is simply the reality of the situation. And that's all right. However, those indicted by Lord Van Zieks cannot escape justice. Their fate is sealed. Oh my. Though the adjudication may see them leave the courtroom with their freedom, within months, they all disappear. It is most striking. Disappear? But how? Well, you see, they are kidnapped, and then they are put in black robes, which are invisible to people who have drank from the water that has... It's complicated. And then they follow people around for months, just in case one of them is holding a magic staff and says the magic word, in which case they ring a bell, which makes everyone fall unconscious, and then they pretend that that person just cast a magic spell. Ah, by all manner of misfortune, sir. Perhaps they are trampled under a passing carriage. Perhaps they fall into the Thames and drown. Perhaps they are suddenly overcome by a raging fever, or perhaps attacked by highwaymen. Oh, no. All examples of the reality of events here in London, I'm afraid, Mr. Naruhodo. I knew it. I'm a dead, Dodo done for, doomed. Well, my dear fellows, it is time we were leaving, I believe. Already? Visiting hours are over. The guard will be here shortly to escort us out. There There is a restaurant near here that serves excellent trout. Would you care to join me? Oh dear. There's never enough time, is there? There's also never enough trout. Oh, whoops. Turn that off. Hit autoplay by accident. Mr. Natsume, if you'd like, in the trial tomorrow, I'd be happy to represent you. Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. As I said, I only experienced a British courtroom for the first time yesterday, and although the man I was representing was found not guilty, I lost sight of something crucial. Something crucial? What to believe in. The defendant, justice, or the truth. How to believe, even. But I think I've finally worked it out. I've decided I must believe in myself above all else, to trust my instincts. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. My instincts are telling me that you, Mr. Natsume, are innocent of this crime, and it's imperative that we prove that in court. Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I will fight for your innocence until the bitter end, with every weapon available to me. So I hope you'll permit me to represent you tomorrow. As I said when we first met, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who will listen to me in my native tongue. Of course, Mr. Natsume. It would be fair to say, Mr. Naruhodo, that your mind was in many ways made up from the outset. You merely needed events of today to fully realize it. Yes, I think you're right about that. It's been a roundabout journey, but I got there in the end. Miss Susato, yes? Would you be willing to stand by my side tomorrow and help me in court? Absolutely. As I said this morning, you may consider me your personal judicial assistant. Duh. The shocking events of yesterday still weigh heavily on my mind, but it's time to stop looking backwards. Kazuma believed in me, and Mr. Sholmes believes in me now too. So it's time. Time that I learnt to believe in myself. Soseki-san has no one. He's all alone, so it's my job to help him, to fight his corner. Tomorrow, in the courtroom, with all the strength I can muster. Do, 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 do. We still don't know why it's called The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro. Ooh. Double saved. So we still don't know who witnessed the crime. Maybe it's going to turn out to be the Shakespeare in the Park guy? Doth mother know thou wearest her drapes? That's where I heard, not recently, but I'm like, there's something in pop culture where somebody says Shakespeare in the Park. I'm thinking of the first Avengers movie. Tony Stark, what a guy. Well, I never expected this. Who'd have thought we'd be back here again so soon? We are on a study tour of Great Britain with the intention of learning the country's legal practices. In order to research the latest court procedures here, we need as much court experience as possible. Well, yes, I suppose that's true, but for the person in the dock, it may well be his or her one and only time in court, and it could be life-changing, in which case treating it as research may seem a little crass. Oh, when you put it like that, you're quite right. Good morning. Ah, Mr. Natsume, good morning. Oh dear. Are you alright? Your eyes are terribly bloodshot. The early bird catches the worm, as they say here in Britain. Yes, I've heard that expression. But I really don't want to catch a worm. So I tried desperately not to wake up early, but I was so worried I couldn't catch a wink. And now I'm absolutely exhausted as a result. Do all literary people take things so literally? Thank you for putting your faith in us today, Mr. Natsume. It's like, well, I didn't have a choice. I wish I had 9 lives. My whole future hangs in the balance. I'm too terrified to tremble. Really? Because I can feel tremors in the floor. I can't do this. I can't take it. Although, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Yes? I caught a glimpse of the public gallery as I walked by the courtroom. It looked like the opening night of the opera. There were so many people. I had no idea my case was such a notorious affair here in London. Oh, neither did I. No, wait. He can say neither. I'm talking like an American when I voice him. Do you know why that might be, Miss Susato? I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, but I have no idea. So that all-knowing look in your face is just coincidence, then, is it? Don't hide the truth from me. It's because of the Reaper, isn't it? Lord Van Zieks. Is that right, Miss Susato? I purchased as many different newspapers as I could find this morning, and yes, Lord Van Zieks is on the front page of every one. I knew it. Couldn't you have just looked at the first page of each of the newspapers instead of buying them? That's free. Oh, there's a tax on that. The newspaper front page looky tax? Sometime after the prosecutor was dubbed the Reaper of the Bailey, he stopped appearing in court, it seems. It's been several years now, in fact, until the day before yesterday. Ah, so his final court case will be tied to the final case that we do. It'll be what was the last case that he did? Oh, well, actually it ties in with the case we're doing today. Yes, Inspector Gregson told us something similar, didn't he? Worthy of a flashback? Okay. The trial 2 days ago marked Lord Van Zieks' return to the courtroom after a very long hiatus. The trial of Magnus McGilded. What a harrowing experience that was. I believe that appearance made even greater waves here in the capital than today's. But we wouldn't have realized, of course, having only just arrived in the country. Why is the Reaper back in the Bailey so soon for what appears to be a mundane murder? That's the question the papers are asking, and they are all speculating various answers. Mundane? Mundane? It's the most significant saga of the century to some of us. Oh dear, I meant no offense, Mr. Natsume. Yes, this is 100% Dracula. Dracula Edgeworth. I meant no offense, but that is how the papers are describing it. Well, lest we also forget the fact that it could spark an international incident. Obviously, the reappearance of this infamous prosecutor has caught people's attention. But there's another blatant similarity with the trial 2 days ago. Oh, no, that was her. 2 days ago. No, it wasn't. They both have names that are 6 letters long and start with an S. I sigh. Yes, I agree. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, it's you! Me? Well, I suppose that's true. Both times it is you who stands against this legendary prosecutor. It can only mean that you're friends with the Reaper! Please, I don't rub shoulders with Shinigami. No, wait a second. None of the characters in Shinigami mean bringers. I mistranslated. I'm afraid there's really only one other explanation. It can only be another example, Mr. Naruhodo, of your uncommon bad luck. Thanks for that. Oh, this is just my luck. Why must I be represented by a man with such frail fortune? By the least lucky lawyer alive. Well, let's not forget that it was you, Mr. Natsume, who asked me to represent you. Yes, it's true that I'm just a student, new to London, with little in the way of experience or skills, or luck, or badges. But I promise you this. I will fight your corner until the bitter end, and I will believe in you, Mr. Natsume. Oh, benevolent locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. You're not alone here with us, Mr. Natsume. Whatever happens, we will always be on your side. Oh, benevolent non-locum assistant Miss Mikotoba Esquiress. I am in your debt forever. I shall never forget this great kindness for as long as I live. Mr. Natsume, counsel for the defense. Court session's about to begin. Kindly make your way into the courtroom at once. Alright then, Mr. Natsume, it's time. Let's go. Yes. This is it. My second appearance in a British courtroom. And my second trial against the Reaper. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma, because this time, I won't let my faith waver. I'll believe in my client to the last. Just like you believed in me. I believe I can do this now. I'm ready for this fight. Oh, and it's actually not the same jury. I caught a glimpse, and the one witness from the last case is one of the jury now. And apparently so is the maid, Mrs. Forgot the name already. Gottlieb? Something? Oh, skipped his line. He's talking about the Queen and everything. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is fully prepared, my lord. The defense is ready, my lord. The Nipponese are truly fascinating breed. Sorry, what? Lord Strongheart has told me all about you. That you are a student who arrived in London but 2 days ago, a mere amateur. Do you have a point? Being a compatriot, you feel compelled to try to help the accused, I suppose. Typical Nipponese arrogance. Forgive me, but I do not believe arrogance is an appropriate description. Susaru-san. After all, at our previous encounter, the defendant was found to be innocent. I mean, technically. Technically found to be innocent. Very true, and a most fascinating, if dark, trial it was, too. The tragic conclusion came later, of course. 2 hours later. Here's to the acquitted and his unfortunate, violent end. Thank you, counsels. I see both sides are in fine There's that word again. Fettle? Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are you ready to carry out your duties here in court as impartial members of the public? You never know when you might be down on your luck, but I believe in fair play for everyone. Well, I must warn you, I'm rather more ruthless than I appear. No, I guess it's... I was gonna say, is it the same as the hat guy from before, except now he just has a hat that fits? But no, not the same guy. Ludifex! How are you? Good evening. And I wasn't particularly doing Bela Lugosi. I'm just straight up doing the Count from Sesame Street. Although I guess they're the same voice, aren't they? And I've never seen Ed Wood. I know of it, but I've never seen it. Oh well, not me. What you see is what you get. I'm a peace-loving fellow. I'm afraid to say I think it's quite possible that mustached foreigner did the deed. Come on, what are we waiting for? No doubt he did it, anyway. Sorry, didn't quite catch that. Plan 9 from Outer Space well, I guess I forgot. Ed Wood was a real person, right? Because there was also, I mean, there was the movie by... David Lynch? Who did the movie? There was a movie, Ed Wood, about Ed Wood. But I guess Ed Wood was also a real person. Very well. Let us proceed. Your opening statement, if you please, Lord Van Zieks. Very recently, Great Britain signed an alliance with a rising power in the Far East. The accused in the dock today is a student from that same land, a certain Mr. Soseki Natsume. Oh wait, hold on. Bela Lugosi was in Plan 9 from Outer Space? This is very curious trivia. I'm intrigued, and we'll look into that later. And while our country has extended this foreign student the warmest of welcomes, regrettably the kindness has not been returned. In fact, the student is accused of a most sinister act. Of plunging a knife into the back of an innocent woman who was doing nothing but walking down the street. A knife crime. I tell you from bitter experience, those are the worst. Bloody oath they are. Just look at that sallow complexion and short stature. He's one of those dreadful Japanese. Come on, let's get this over with. With me now, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, didn't quite catch that. Pray forgive the discourtesy of smashing my hallowed chalice here in this great chamber. Oh, we'll be counting. We'll be counting things, don't you worry. Allow me to call the first witness to the stand. One witness. Very well. Bailiff, lead the inspector in, please. Oh, Herlock Sholmes? Oh, nope. This guy. Your name and occupation, please. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard. Would you please summarize the events of the case for the court, Inspector? This is the first time we've seen the victim's face, even. The victim is thought to be a young woman in her 20s by the name of Olive Green. I beg your pardon, Inspector. Thought to be? Yes, having been stabbed in the back by her attacker's knife, the victim fell unconscious. Oh, that's right, she's still alive. That was 3 days ago now, and she's been comatose ever since. What? So they don't even know who she is for sure? Comatose, I see, but her life is not in danger? The tricky legal wrangling behind the scenes for this game concerning one Herlock Sholmes. I do not. I didn't even know he was in this game until he showed up. And I usually try to avoid trivia for, any kind of, like, Phoenix Wright Wiki would explain it, of course, but I would never go and look through one of those for one of the games that I haven't played yet. But yes, now that we're playing it, I'd be very interested to know. Because it seems obvious that there would be, like, they're not even remotely, they haven't, I mean, they've changed the character. He's a goofball instead of a whatever. Fortunately for the Eastern student, the charge will not be murder. Pray, elaborate on the details, Inspector. Sir, if I could ask everyone to look at this street map. As I mentioned, the incident took place 3 days ago at around 5 in the afternoon. It happened on the pavement running alongside Briar Road, a wide thoroughfare for horse-drawn vehicles. Wait a minute. Why would they have specified horse-drawn vehicles? Weren't all vehicles horse-drawn back in 1900? Or did we have some cars? We might have had some cars. The Model T. It had not long since stopped snowing as the victim, Miss Green, was walking down the street. Out of the blue, she was approached from behind by the accused and stabbed her in the back. So, Sherlock Holmes is under copyright for much, although not all, of the works of Sir Conan Doyle, and the family has been a bit of a jerk with the English-speaking world's rights. In the original, it was totally Sherlock Holmes in the game, same spelling, etc., but it was difficult to bring it to the US and UK because of it. And changing it to Herlock Sholmes counts? That counts as... Oh, well, no, he's not Sherlock Holmes anymore. He's Herlock Sholmes. Like... That doesn't seem like it should count. Like, you know, I guess, or some people don't know, in Street Fighter, in Japan, the three bosses at the end of Street Fighter 2 are M. Bison, Vega, and Balrog. They changed who was named what because in Japan, the boxer was named M. Bison because he was supposed to be Mike Tyson, and then when they brought it over to America, they were like, it's a little close. It's a little too close for comfort, so we're gonna change the guy with the hat to be... Oh no, wait, there were 4 bosses, so they kept Sagat the same, but the dictator guy became M. Bison. The guy with the claw became Vega, and the boxer became Balrog. Those 3 were actually switched around in the Japanese version, which is great. A similar situation happened back when Doyle was still alive, where Maurice LeBlanc wrote an Arsène Lupin book, which set him against Sherlock Holmes. He got in trouble back then, so he completed a completely unrelated character named Herlock Sholmes in the story. Amazing! And guess what? LeBlanc's books are out of copyright in both the US and the UK. Oh, so wait. So, did they get around it by saying, hey, since this LeBlanc fellow got away with it, we're totally basing... this character is named Herlock Sholmes because he's a direct reference to the uncopyrighted character Herlock Sholmes, who's actually in published works. That's very clever. How could Sherlock Holmes still be copyrighted? I guess maybe they weren't written as long ago as I thought. I mentioned, and sorry for stalling for like 10 minutes to talk about it, but as we were going through one of the earlier cases, I was like, wouldn't I enjoy reading the Sherlock Holmes books? I should totally do that. They're classics, I guess. They're probably really good. Luckily, the young lady's life was spared, and she's currently being treated in one of our city's hospitals. But being unconscious as she is, we've been unable to take a statement from her, of course. Figured we might as well put the guy that we think did it to death in the meantime. This is the case file with everything we know about the victim so far. Thank you, Inspector. The court will accept the documents as evidence, if you please. The case file has been entered into the court record. Let's take a peek. What is this? That's the map. That's the receipt, which said what on it? At 4:45, he bought some books, and we for some reason know the names of the books, even though I don't know why they would matter. Case file. She was found with a knife in her back. Is currently in hospital. Well, right. There's the Mickey Mouse thing, where every couple of years they go, shouldn't copyright last a little bit longer since Mickey Mouse is about to come out of copyright? Young woman followed victim olive green, female, stout build, early 20s, East Side. Reporting officer Rolly Beat. The victim remains unconscious. Her name was gleaned from her personal effects. Other details are unknown. Apart from the single stab wound with a large knife, no other signs of injury were observed. The assailant was seen running away by the reporting officer and was successfully arrested the following day. Got it. What of the weapon that was used? Sir, I have that here. It was removed from the victim's back. Ouch, that big thing is starting to make me scared to walk down the street now. With a heavy blade like that, almost anybody would have been able to stab the poor woman. Even the scragged-looking Soseki-san, I suppose. A common or garden jackknife, I would say. Rather nondescript. Jackknife? I see. Thank you, Inspector. The court accepts the blade as evidence. I did not know that Soseki is a real person. That's also interesting. Now then, what do we know of the motive? Money or valuables, I presume? From what we can tell by looking at the woman's possessions, it seems like she's a poor student herself. Hard to imagine she would have had anything much worth pinching, my lord. I see. Well, in that case, are we looking at some deep-seated resentment toward the victim? I'm afraid I couldn't say. Apart from visiting second-hand bookshops, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, doesn't appear to get out much. At this moment in time, we haven't been able to establish any sort of connection between him and the victim.
Yes!
Yes! Falcon objection. If theft and grievance have been ruled out as the motive, what reason could Mr. Natsume possibly have had for stabbing the young woman? Yet you arrested the man in spite of that, in a totally unjustified and heavy-handed way.
Objection!
I guess just to be on the... This guy is great. He might be my favorite prosecutor of the whole series. Anyway, thank you for the link. I'll probably wait until I'm done with this case before I look at it, just so that there's no chance of any... Even if there's no, like, direct spoilers, like, he did it. Yes, this is the first case with him. We're on case number 4. Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging a freshly uncorked bottle into the public gallery, but your words have soured its hallowed bouquet. It is for you, my learned friend, who is being heavy-handed here. What? Scotland Yard does not arrest people without good cause. That should be beyond question. Inspector Gregson, the prosecution calls for your formal testimony. Explain to the court precisely why the constabulary came to arrest the Nipponese student. Yes, sir. Actually, I don't think anything will ever beat the transformation the transformation scene at the end of Spirit of Justice, the most recent one that I played, the one right before this. That one was pretty good. Although he really is catching up fast. As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred, and there was an unusually light fog. Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one else but the victim. There was no one else about but the victim and the accused. Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed on the pavement. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor, those being a number of old books he'd just bought. He was on his way home from a bookshop, it seems. It was just a matter of working out who the books belonged to, and we found the bloke to arrest him. Old books, you say? Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime, taken immediately after the incident. I've never had a proper fish and chip. I actually over the past couple of weeks, I actually got into the habit of buying like fish fillets and hamburger buns because I was like, you can go to like Burger King or McDonald's or something and get a fillet of fish, and it's like $4. And it's like, I can buy a whole box of fish for that much. And I'm like, I'm sure it tastes the same, probably even better. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just do that. It's like, oh, okay. Oh yes, I can clearly see the books to which you are referring. I will take that photographic print as evidence, please, Inspector. Doesn't it take like half an hour to make a photograph in 1900s? Wouldn't they have been sitting there like, no, don't bring her to the hospital just yet. We gotta wait for me to finish taking this half-hour exposure picture. Went to the UK recently. I didn't realize they also had fries. The difference is the cut of potato. It's so. Oh wait, so chips isn't their word for fries then. A chip is something different than a fry. They have fries that are like our fries, and then they have chips, which are like big fries. I see. You Nipponese are a spineless breed, too cowardly to admit defeat. Denying everything, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Well, Forgive me, Lord Van Zieks, but the defendant is not denying everything, as you put it. What are you doing, Mr. Sato? Do go on. Mr. Natsume has admitted to playing some part in the incident. Isn't that right? Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Odd Garrett officially says fries are thin cut. I see. But you guys don't call chips well, you probably call chips chips. Sure you do. You just also call big fries chips. Well. Oh no, wait, you call them crisps! I almost made a blunder. Chips are called crisps. Now that you mention it, when we visited him in the prison yesterday, he did tell us all that had happened. As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me, a woman, wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet. I was terrified. I had to get away from there, so I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. A green overcoat. Well, that's exactly what the woman in that print is wearing. Oh my, a photographic print in full color. What will the world come up with next? The defendant has done nothing more than admit he fled the scene of a terrifying incident. That does not mean he's guilty of the heinous crime of this is totally how you lawyer. Take notes, everybody. There was nobody else there at the time, just the two of them. One, the victim, and two, the accused. Two. In other words, there is nobody else who could possibly have stabbed the woman. Fries are a subset of chips. Crisps are the fried potato slices normally in bags. I see. We don't have anything over here called crisps. If someone said if somebody said crisp, you'd immediately be like, "Oh, you mean chips in Great Britain." Very well. A fact that the accused concedes. Ugh. I haven't done that yet. To say like, oh, naruhodo. Don't want to confuse anybody. It seems this cross-examination could prove to be pivotal, Counsel. Proceed, please. Yes, my lord. Nothing for it. They don't rhyme with dips. You do not have disps. I have to use this cross-examination to turn the tables here. It's our only chance, obviously. "5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Hold it!
With a white fog." A white fog, you say? Well, light for London. You could see the opposite side of the street for once. Not much farther, though. That's light, is it? Around these parts, yes. Not something I'd expect a Japanese fellow like yourself to know, of course. I've read that London is famous for its fog, but in my country, people usually imagine that gives the city a rather beautiful appearance. How quaint. Yes, well, it's not something us Londoners tend to romanticize, as I expect you can appreciate. I see. At this time of year, the fog causes a large number of accidents among horse-drawn carriages? Especially when it's heavy. Sometimes you can't even see your own hand at the end of your arm. Indeed. The other day I was very nearly trampled by It was horses, but you can hear them. They sound like coconuts, just like Monty Python. Oh, Suicidal-san, I should definitely remember to stop, look, and listen. However, on the day that concerns us, the fog was somewhat lighter than usual. Thick smoke? Surely you meant smog. I was right. A fact no doubt lamented by the accused. Visibility was reasonably good. There was no...
Hold it!
What about the arresting officer? How are you able to state that with any certainty? Quite simply, my learned friend, because that is what the witnesses to this crime have told us. Ah, yes. Inspector Gregson mentioned the witnesses yesterday. Didn't he? Yawning an awful lot. It's no good. That's right. One of them is a policeman, I believe, from Scotland Yard. That is correct, ma'am. Then we must hear their testimony. The prosecution will, of course, call them to the stand, should it be necessary. But wait a minute. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, in the middle of winter, it would have been dark already. No matter how light the fog might have been, no one could have seen... I'm unaware of the situation on your tiny island in the east. Actually, it's an archipelago. You can count the islands. But here in the capital city of Great Britain, all main roads are illuminated in the night by gas streetlights. Ah! The prosecution believes there would have been ample light by which to witness the crime. Quite. Here in London, for the first time in history, mankind has completely conquered the darkness. Which means we really need to hear those witness statements. If I could just get through the fog of this cross-examination, maybe we'll be able to... It seems the counsel for the defense is taking stock. Continue with your testimony, Inspector. Out of the blue. Objections, green.
Hold it!
From behind, you say? That's right, as you can see from this print. Yes, quite so, Inspector. The handle of the weapon is clearly protruding from the victim's back. To order another wine bottle, just to toss it. And you say this poor woman, Miss Green, remains in a critical condition, comatose, no less? I'm afraid so, my lord, yes. She's being treated at Bart's. I was hopeful that she'd come around before the trial started so I could take a statement, but it wasn't to be. Yes, that is indeed a pity. It would have been most illuminating to hear the victim's own account of events. Luck is on your client's side, it seems. On the contrary, my client has been exceedingly unlucky. Your force of tone is seriously undermined by those disturbingly wide eyes, I'm afraid. She'll recover just hours after he is sentenced to death and his sentence carried out. Should we wake up and go, oh no, I stabbed myself in the back. It was a suicide attempt.
Hold it!
I placed the knife upright inside of a teddy bear and then swan dived backwards onto it and then inhaled some Monokuma poison for good measure. Mr. Natsume's belongings? I think you'll find it's all there in the photographic print of the crime scene. Yes, the 3 books on the floor. That's right, my lord. Second-hand books they were. Irreparably damaged after falling in the snow. Some weak-ass books. Some 1 hit point left books. They died from snow damage? Okay. The accused could easily have carried all 3 books in one hand. 3 books! Which means his other hand would have been free to wield a knife, for example. He's very clever, isn't he? What do you mean? He's made it extremely hard for you to assert that Mr. Natsume had his hands full with books. But wait a minute, it's not a gravity knife. It's not a butterfly knife. It's a jackknife. You need 2 hands to open it. Open and shut case. He's managed to close the one avenue of escape we might have had before we even knew it was there. London snow is exceedingly strong. You breed them strong over there. Level 99 snows. You mean to say that the defendant was holding his belongings as he thrust the knife into the woman's back? That must be what happened, my lord, yes.
Hold it!
The defendant apparently visits a second-hand bookshop on a daily basis. Yes, so I understand. A shop full of old English literature. I commend the accused on the lofty subject matter of his scholarly attention. The bloke's room was stacked floor to ceiling with those musty old books. Can you tell us more about the bookshop in question, please, Inspector? Well, if I must, I'll have to ask you to look at the street map again, I'm afraid. The closest second-hand bookshop to the accused lodgings is this place here, Bourbon Books. Little place on the corner of Briar Road and Meerschaum Street. As it happens, the accused is currently living in lodgings on the other side of Briar Road at the opposite end, which means it doesn't take a genius to work out the route he would have taken home. Something like this. Okay. Yes, I concur with your conclusion, Inspector. The defendant would certainly have passed the scene of the crime on his way home from that particular shop. Mr. Naruhodo, I think that what the inspector just told us could turn out to be even vital. What? You're dreaming. You freaking inhaled too much of that strong snow. She was out there sniffing the strong London snow. The most important point that the inspector just made being... Oh, okay, the name. I wasn't expecting that. He did not go to that bookshop. What? Would you kindly add the name of the bookshop to your formal testimony, please? I believe it may be of vital importance. Maybe. Oh, well, you know, I mean, yes! It could be a very important clue. A very important Falcon clue. Very well. Not that I can see it being of any great significance, but please revise your testimony accordingly, Inspector. Yes, sir, my lord, whatever you say. Can I be any more sardonic?